What if everything you know about history is built on a secret buried beneath our cities? Have you ever walked through an old city center and noticed that many historic buildings seem partially buried, with windows and doors set far below the current street level? In districts of New Orleans, in parts of Eastern Europe, and even in some American cities, structures from the 19th century appear to be engulfed by layers of sediment. This observation sparks a fascinating mystery. Could these be remnants of a catastrophic mud flood that erased a hidden chapter of history? Or is there a more mundane explanation? The mud flood theory proposes that during the 18th or 19th century, a sudden deluge of mud swept across vast areas of the earth, burying cities almost overnight. Advocates of this theory point to archival photos and maps showing buried facades, like ornate doorways in Eastern Europe or structures in New Orleans, that support the idea of a global event. Numerous Eastern European cities display 19th century buildings with lower-level windows and doorways that are consistently buried. In cities like St. Petersburg, where the urban landscape has evolved over centuries, certain structures hint at an earlier buried foundation that does not fit neatly into the accepted timeline of urban development. Some even link it to the mystery of Tartaria, a purported lost empire that once spanned much of Asia and Eastern Europe. Historical maps from the 15th to 19th centuries often label vast regions as Tartary, and some documentaries, such as Ancient Angels, explore the idea that Tartaria was an advanced civilization boasting incredible architectural feats, free energy, and even wireless technology. According to this narrative, a sudden global mud flood not only wiped out Tartaria, but forced later generations to rebuild on top of its buried foundations, effectively erasing its true history from the official record. Grand structures that seem out of place, such as the massive stone edifices in Washington, D.C., or the imposing classical columns scattered throughout Europe, might be reconstructed remnants of a civilization that was once far more advanced than we have been led to believe. Some proponents claim that the Orphan trains, which relocated 200,000 children across the United States from 1854 to 1929, and the simultaneous rise in the number of people confined to insane asylums in the 19th century are linked to the aftermath of a massive mud flood. They argue that the chaos following such a catastrophic event could have led to widespread social disruption, with entire populations being displaced, rehomed, or even erased from historical records. While mainstream historians attribute these phenomena to the social and economic upheavals of the Industrial Revolution, mud flood theorists argue that a sudden environmental reset provided the perfect cover for a deliberate rewriting of history. Furthermore, the architectural anomalies extend to world fairs of the 1800s. For instance, during events like the 1851 Great Exhibition in London, the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago, and the 1876 Centennial Exposition in Philadelphia, cities rapidly constructed massive temporary structures, only to demolish them soon afterward. Mud flood advocates contend that the scale and speed with which these buildings were erected and then removed seemed to defy the technological limits of the time. They claim these feats of engineering might have been possible only because they were built on pre-existing buried foundations left over from an ancient advanced civilization. However, others argue that this rapid construction reflects industrial progress rather than a deliberate cover-up, with some structures, like the Eiffel Tower, enduring as lasting landmarks. Supporters of the mud flood theory also suggest that there might be powerful interests at play, intent on keeping the true history of our civilization hidden. They argue that the suppressed history of the mud flood is intertwined with other controversial subjects, such as the reconstruction of history following World War I and World War II. This theory suggests that as modern nation-states rose to power, there was a concerted effort to erase evidence of past civilizations that did not fit the new narrative. This rewriting of history, they claim, was facilitated by the deliberate removal or reinterpretation of architectural evidence, leaving behind a sanitized version of our past that serves current power structures. Adding another layer of intrigue, some researchers have linked the mud flood theory to ideas about ancient beings, sometimes referred to as the Nephilim or giants, and portals that connect our world to other dimensions. According to these fringe theories, the same cataclysm that buried the Tartarian Empire could have also opened rifts in the fabric of reality, allowing otherworldly entities to interact with our civilization. Although these ideas are controversial and blend myth with conspiracy, they have captured the imagination of many who seek alternative explanations for the architectural and historical anomalies observed in the built environment. Critics, however, maintain that the buried architectural features can be attributed to natural processes, such as local urban regrading, where streets were raised for practical reasons, and natural sedimentation over time. In Seattle, for instance, the well-documented Denny Regrade project raised street levels over several decades, resulting in many historic buildings appearing partially buried. Similarly, many European cities were built on naturally sloping terrain, and basements or lower levels are common features designed to adapt to these contours. In New Orleans, the high water table led to raised homes, creating the illusion of buried features. In Eastern Europe, communist-era neglect and brutalist architecture might have contributed to the buried look. The 2006 Sidoarjo mudflow in Indonesia, known as Lucy, is a modern example of a mud eruption triggered by drilling mishaps. While the Lucy event is well documented, its localized nature makes it difficult to reconcile with the global patterns observed in historic architecture. Natural processes undoubtedly account for many features in the built environment. However, the alignment of buried windows, doors, and archways across multiple cities on different continents points to a uniform event that seems too consistent to be a mere coincidence. While projects like the Denny Regrade can account for local anomalies, they cannot fully explain the global pattern observed in historic structures with vastly different histories and geographic conditions, from regions as diverse as St. Petersburg, Russia, and the American Midwest, raising the possibility that a single, catastrophic event might have left its mark on the world. The mud flood theory challenges us to reconsider the narrative of progress that we have been taught. The implications of this hidden history are profound. If such a global catastrophe did occur, it would mean that our understanding of the rise and fall of civilizations is incomplete. It would force us to re-examine not only the architectural legacy of our cities, but also the social and cultural evolution of human society. It would also cast doubt on the authenticity of our historical records, urging us to look beyond textbooks and official narratives to uncover the buried truth. In the end, the debate over the mud flood cover-up remains open. Mainstream scientists continue to offer natural explanations, while independent researchers urge us to look closer at the uniformity of the evidence across disparate regions. The truth may lie somewhere in between, or it may be something entirely unexpected. What do you think? Are the buried windows and doors of ancient buildings merely the result of natural processes, or do they hint at a forgotten global catastrophe that reshaped our civilization? Could the mud flood be the missing chapter of our past, a deliberate cover-up meant to protect the complexities of our history? Let us know in the comments below. If this exploration has sparked your curiosity, please like and subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries that have been hidden from us. Join us on Untold Mysteries as we continue to question the accepted narratives and uncover secrets buried in time, because sometimes the truth lies not on the surface, but deep beneath it.